What is up, all you GBA type fans? This is Tom. I'm here bringing you guys week 9 of the GBA. This week starts our rematches with our interdivision rivals. So, first off, I get the big one. I get George and the San Francisco Arcaniners. Now, I'm not worried about taking on George again. I feel like last time I could have won, especially with the fast Jellison. Had I hit that Toxic, I think the Latias would have been much less of a problem. Mamoswine could have taken it on, and then I could have handled both the Melodic and the Spiritomb accordingly. Unfortunately, not how it went. No big deal, because we get to take on George again. And this time around, I think his team is offensively a lot more threatening, but my team is also that much better. Dumping off Mamoswine, trading him for Melodic. Yes, he gives me 2 water types. Yes, he has an Electabuzz. Yes, he has a Sceptile. But, I always look at a matchup and go, hey, you always have a chance. If you prep right and you play even better, you always have a chance. That's how we're going into this match. There are very key matchups that I need to sustain. There are Mons I need to ensure stay alive to take on some of his Mons. But overall, I certainly need to ensure that just matchups stay intact. And I have a good way of doing that. Now this week, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. Instead of doing my predictive look where I just show you a picture of my six Mons, I'll actually jump over to Showdown. I'll show you guys there what the specific EZV spreads are, and then what some of the EV sets are gonna be that will provide more insight, since this is the last time taking on George. Didn't want to do it last time, and it's a little bit easier since I don't have to edit another image. But that being said, let's go into his team and see what we're taking on. So this week, George's team, like I said, is a lot more threatening. He dumped off Latias for Manaphy. He dumped off Melodic with me for Mamoswine. He dumped off Simisage, Garbage Monkey for Sceptile, and he dumped off Magneton for Electabuzz. Now, when we look at his team, the top 5, I think, maybe not Gardevoir, but it was a good place I could put it. But definitely Infernape and Manaphy are big threats. We saw how well Infernape did last time. Arcanine took it on to an extent. However, I think this time I'm going to look at it a little bit differently. Manaphy especially. The only 2 things I could take on a +3. Manaphy are a special defensive Melodic and Jellison. But Jellison can't really prevent Manaphy from setting up, whereas Melodic has a little bit more bulk and better means of recovery. And it's just a little bit bulkier. So Melodic is certainly something I have to look on to take on Manaphy specifically. Of course, Spiritomb last time was brought, didn't get that much exposure because of how well the Jellison set was built. So Spiritomb kind of fell by the wayside, but Snorlax was a problem. So I think those 2 wall combinations are going to be really difficult for me to handle, because Cobalion, while it takes on one, can't really touch the other. Same with Sawk. So, and then Tyrantrum, I need to set up in order to necessarily beat a Spiritomb. So I think that Wall Core is definitely very deadly for him. Gardevoir, I can't really take that many Fairy hits, because if you check my team, I don't have a good, let's see, Grass Switch in, Electric Switch in, Fairy Switch in, Offensive Ghost Switch in. Oh man, there's just so many things I can go down the line that my team gets beaten by, so obviously I have to plan a certain way in order to combat that. Regular Gardevoir could be effective against my team this week, but I think it needs to be offensive in order to do so. He has to have it so that maybe it takes on Starmie, or it's bulky enough to take on not Melodic, well, vice versa, Starmie, but powerful enough to take on Melodic, stuff like that. Because otherwise, I think it is a little bit more passive for George than he'd like it to be. So I certainly see the top 4 being brought. Moving down to the middle line, I think that Mamoswine is good against my team, obviously, because I have a lot of flying types, a lot of ice weaknesses, and of course he could tack on a Freeze Dry and then go to town on that. Because my water switches are going to come in, but he can go for like Earthquake plus Freeze Dry, or Icicle Crest plus Freeze Dry, based on his speed investment. Nidoqueen I thought was really threatening last time, and I think this time it's just as much, if not more. I don't have Machamp to sponge the status like I did last time in week 3, and Nidoqueen can just batter holes into my special defensive walls that otherwise Manaphy could then clean up on. I think that's a good way for him to look at it. Whether he uses Gardevoir plus Manaphy or Nidoqueen plus Manaphy, the point for George this week is to ensure that he can punch holes through my team effectively and then go ahead and sweep with something like an Infernape. Moving on, I think that Sceptile and Electabuzz are two sides of the same coin. Does he want to, choice through my team with Grass Stab or Electric Stab? Obviously, the Electric Stab is going to give him more initiative, so Electabuzz seems a little bit more privy, but he could also go Sceptile. Sceptile has decent coverage, could tack on HP Ice on either to hit the Gligar, or, just basically any move to hit the water type, not water types, but for Gligar, yeah. Especially for Electabuzz, but I think both of those are really effective against my team. They could both eventually pressure my team if he chooses to do so. Then finally, I don't see Mega B coming. I think Gligar just straight up walls that, allows me to set things up. And then Fortress is a Fortress. I don't think it's that good, but hey, defense is pretty necessary with the way that you look at my team. Obviously, I have Tyrantrum, I have Sawk, but especially I also have Starmie and Sylveon, and that bodes to be a pretty big threat for other teams. So now we're going to jump into Showdown. I'm going to show you my team, briefly go over that, kind of explain the purpose of the EVs and just the sets. I've never done this before, so this video might be a little bit longer. Hopefully you guys are okay with that, but I'll see you guys there in a second. What is up, all you GBA type fans? We're here with the second part of the team builder. Going to go over my team. Not going to take too much time because I don't really want to go into like another 8-10 minute part for this. Just going to go over, you're going to find out this team is very, very similar to last week. -1 Mon, same 5 of 6. Not always a bad thing, but it's just about how I change up the EV sets, if I do, to, help out with this week's match against George. Now, last week, if you looked at the Gyatso in the description for my battle against Cooper, you're going to see that the Starmie EV set is exactly the same. Actually, and so is the Melodic to an extent. But the moveset for this week is still going to be Specs Analytic, and basically the Scald Psyshock Thunderbolt combination gives you the best coverage against George's team. Thunderbolt hits things like Manaphy and Manaphy just pretty hard, and then Scald pretty much everything else. There's not much on his team that really wants to take a Spec Scald outside of like AV Snorlax, AV Gardevoir, maybe Sceptile, and that's pretty much it. Then Psyshock's just good coverage for the rest. Obviously, he could go into a Fortress, or he can go into Gardevoir, Spiritomb if he brings it, and, essentially just take me on that way. Oh, I never went over the 6 I think that George is going to bring. I predict Manaphy, Mamoswine, Infernape, Snorlax, Electabuzz, and Nidoqueen, with the possibility of Spiritomb or Fortress replacing either Snorlax or Nidoqueen. Those are the best things I have in mind for his team. Let's keep going. The trick is there in case he does bring Spiritomb. I don't want to be trapped. I think he's going to bring in Spiritomb. I'd rather dump off his specs onto something that, would pretty much allow me to take it on a little bit better, force him to pick one move instead of being a gigantic pain in my ass, like going for Willow, going for Painswick, going for Shadow Sneak, Sucker Punch. No. One move, you're done. That's the thought behind the trick. Moving down into the Cobalion set, we have Close Combat Z Headbutt. That's enough coverage for me. I also thought of putting Iron Head on there. Not necessary, because it really only hits Gardevoir. Yes, this set could be entirely walled by Gardevoir. That's why we're getting the fuck out. We out if Gardevoir comes in, going for Volt Switch. Also, then if he's faster than us, it shows that he's Scarfed. But Close Combat hits everything super hard. Even like Fortress is going to take some sufficient damage. Gardevoir and Spiritomb is really only 2 switch-ins, but both of which I'm getting out. Unless he goes for Shadow Sneak or something like Pursuit, Volt Switch is going to allow me to get out versus Gardevoir and Spiritomb. Everything else pretty much just gets damage off, and if he goes in Nidoqueen like I suspect him to for Cobalion, especially if he's a defensive set, I go for Close Combat, doesn't take that much damage. Volt Switch obviously doesn't affect. I could Taunt to shut down rocks, Zen Headbutt to get some damage. Now, this set only allows me to get maybe a quarter damage off on the Nidoqueen, as he would go for something like Earth Power, but that's what the Sugar Berry is there for, kind of hoping that works out. And if it doesn't, hey, it's a thought that this Cobalion I could lead with, maybe shut down a Rocker, or just get some damage off like Cobalion has been doing for me so far. Next up, we're going to go into Melodic. Not going to jump into that fourth one just yet. Look at the bottom of your screen. Right here, we have Scald, Haze, Recover, Toxic. Basically, I swapped off, what was it? Swapped off Mirror Coat for Toxic. And the purpose of that, again, just hit Spiritomb, ensure that I get necessary chip damage off on his more annoying walls. And then not only that, but then I could progressively chip down the Manaphy with Toxic. I can throw up Toxic on anything, basically. Anything that can take a Toxic doesn't want to take a Scald. Snorlax doesn't want to take a Scald. Fortress doesn't want to take a Scald. Gardevoir, to an extent, can heal Bell, but have fun taking these Scalds. Sceptile, same idea, which I'm not staying in on Sceptile. And then that's kind of the point with this. It's full special defensive because I need to live Manaphy hits, especially +3 Energy Ball. I believe at +3 he does Timid. He does a max amount of 86%. So if he's Toxic, obviously he's going to wear himself down. And I just kind of got to hope I play that effectively, because then I have to really go into my next, like, try and set up or go into Starmie, attempt to T-Bolt. And especially if he's bulky, there's no guarantee that I one-hit KO or even two-hit KO with a T-Bolt from Starmie. Now moving on, we're going to go into 3 mons that you saw last week, and they're very familiar, but it's going to be Sawk, Tyrantrum, and Gligar. Now, the Sawk set is Choice Scarfed, like you're seeing Mold Breaker. Close Combat, Earthquake, Fire Punch, and Toxic. Enough speed to outpace, I believe, a Scarfed Electabuzz. Yes, that's true. And the point there is Close Combat hits everything super hard, like I said, even except Spiritomb, but that's what the Toxic is there. I'll go for a Choice Scarf Toxic in case he brings Spiritomb in as a defensive option. Fire Punch there for Fortress in case I want to predict that switch. Earthquake is all around just really good against his team. So I think that this Sawk set is pretty much a pivotal late game sweeper / revenge killer. And of course it's Sawk, so it's pretty fucking badass. Also, I'm going to call this team Team Blue, because once we get into Showdown, it's just like blue like last week. If Sylveon was shiny, if Melodic was shiny, it'd just be blue, like all the way across. But, of course, Melodic has a little bit of pink. Anyway, next we have this Tyrantrum set, Sir Rex-a-Lot. Love that name, by the way, and I know you guys do too. But the Tyrantrum is here specifically for cleaning, and if you look at the bottom of the Gligar set, I could pass a Rock Polish in, and nothing really. I played around with the idea of double Scarfers, Tyrantrum, and Sawk. I played around with the idea of D-Dance, Rock Polish, passing in the Rock Polish, but that was excessive. Home Claws even to ensure Head Smash hits. So many ideas. Life Orb, but too much residual damage, too quick. Don't really want that. So here we just go for very simple. Pass in a Rock Polish, and then we're gonna go for some big damage. Dragon Claw, you know, 1 Fairy Resist. Earthquake and Head Smash hurt so much on his team, and the Expert Belt there with Fire Fang ensures a little bit more KOs than like a Life Orb. Plus, I don't want that residual damage. He has priority in Ice Shard and Mach Punch or Vacuum Wave even with Infernape, so I don't want to take that priority damage, or even Shadow Sneak Sucker Punch from Spiritomb. So I don't want to take that damage, plus Life Orb Recoil, especially because, you know, Tyrantrum is not that bulky on the special defensive side. Not that bulky at all. So I forgot what the speed investment was for. I wish I remembered. My bad. I'm not even going to put an annotation up because I honestly do not remember, but I know it served a purpose. My mind is just blanking super hard right now. I think maybe it was how much I need to outpace an Infernape at +2 speed. That's what it was. Yeah, Scarf Infernape, how much I need to outpace if I get the Rock Polish in. That puts me over his speed tier by 4 speed points. So I believe, or 2 speed points. So that's the purpose of that. Then we have finally our Passer galore, just like last week. Scorpio the Gligar. We have its Stealth Rock. Just let's get up some rocks. Maybe break some Sashes, break some Sturdies, stuff like that. The Rock Polish is there, of course, to pass. My recipients are going to be either Tyrantrum or Starmie primarily. And then we have the Roost to gain back HP. Obviously, it's Spadef, so I can take on hits from Electabuzz, maybe Sceptile, maybe Nidoqueen. I've run my calcs. If it's defensive Nidoqueen, he can't two-shot me. I'm going to Baton Pass my way out of there. If he tries to switch in something on a Rock Polish, obviously I'm faster. Going to switch my way out of there. Nothing, unless it sets up, can one-shot me based on a switch out with a Baton Pass. But outside of that, I'm not really... This Gligar can work. I really do think that it can work. It has good recipients to pass into. If I need to ensure that I outspeed something, go into Sock. Why not? If I need to ensure that Starmie gets really high damage with really good speed, enough speed to outpace a Scarf and Fernape, let's go into that. Tyrantrum, do I just want to punch holes with his skull through his team? Let's go into that. That's the point. That's what we're doing here. I'm really excited for this team. And just like last week, you know, maybe I'm not the guy this season, but I'm not an easy win. Fuck you guys in the Pick'em crew for picking against me. Fuck you guys last week for picking against me, against Cooper. Not an easy win. Stop locking against me. You're going to find out why in this match. I'm very excited. Go Team Blue. You know, Blue Gligar, Blue Tyrantrum, Blue Sock, Bluish-ish Melodic, Blue Cobalion, Blue Starmie. Let's go. Gonna have a good time. See you guys in the battle. I don't know when this is going to go up early in the morning. The battle's going to go up later. I'll coordinate that with George. But until then, talk to you guys later.